Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dr. Larry Live. I got a guest. I'm going to tell you about it in a second. Happy Valentine's Day. Today we're going to answer the question, do married men live longer? Does marriage help you live longer? I am joined by Lindsay, none other than Lindsay Sudeikis. A very, very good and old, you're not old, but we've known each other a long time.
That's true. Decades.
30-something years. 35, 33, one of my sister's best friends. She's going to be the special guest today while we talk about...
And yours.
We're friends too. Thanks for reminding me. We are friends. Do married people live longer? Happy Valentine's Day. So I'm going to ask you first, I'm going to get into this article that I wrote that you can check out on good old drlarry.com. And I'm going to give you some stats. But first, I want to start with, do you think married people live longer than non-married people or not? What would you say before we get into some of these stats?
Yes. Gut reaction. Yes, I do.
You want to elaborate on the gut a little bit?
Yeah, I think because there's a sense of stability and companionship and someone who's got your back and your heart if something goes awry, like those, like psychically or psychologically rather, the way those things land. I think that would maybe, yeah.
So you would say yes, and you would say yes because of the like psychological benefits.
The psychological, emotional, spiritual benefits. I mean, the whole list, I would say. I wouldn't only say psychological.
Okay, you would say yes. What would I say? What would I have guessed before I did this research? I would put like an asterisk by it and say it's so individualized. I would say for some people, yeah, this is dodging the question, right? Because the question is like, does marriage in general? But I would say maybe some no, maybe probably for most, yes. That would be my guess. Let me read you some statistics. And this came from an article written by Harvard. A little more credible than just me and you and me together. Although we're quite credible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to read you some statistics, okay? Not about that guy. Where did my thing go? Oh, shoot. Okay, here we go. You ready? Okay. Japanese data. Never married men were 3 times more likely to die from cardiovascular disease than men. 3 times.
What?
Yeah. Framingham Offspring study, and there's links to these in that article. So get over there to drlarry.com and look at that article. Framingham Offspring study, married men, this is in a 10-year period, married men had 46% lower rate of death than unmarried men. These are just statistics. Okay, so they're not necessarily cause and effect. Doesn't mean the marriage is why. Could have been that this group of men was healthy or unhealthy, but this is the stat. Now, this one is really interesting to me. This is a University of Miami study, okay? It doesn't look like there's an association between cancer and married men living longer or shorter, but they did a study on, I think it might have been prostate cancer, and it showed married men survived way longer, 69 months, so that's 5 to 6 years, as opposed to separated and widowed men, which was 38 months, versus men who never married, which was 49 months. So they were in between. So this one is like, okay, married men survived cancer the most, like maybe that's something to live for. The separated widow ones were the least, and then the dudes never married were in between. Other stats, married men have lower rates of depression and Alzheimer's.
Wait, so when you say something to live for, I'm struck because you feel like that might be what's driving the statistics. It's because the folks who are married, the men who are married in this, right, feel there's something to live for.
So that is what I was suggesting. So I asked you before, like, why might it be the case?
Yeah.
And that married people, men, live longer. I think one would just be a motivation to live there to be for their other person. I think some men wouldn't want to leave their wives alone. You know, so they're like, I'm gonna, live and stay alive for her. Yeah. But I would break it down into 3 things. I think there is an emotional component to it. I think partners may, and like, so one of the things people have suggested in the research is that having a good partner may just help with the stress response, right? Having somebody there who you can do fun things with, or they can maybe be kind of like your therapist to get out the stress and stuff, counter stress.
Yeah.
That could be one thing. Two
or
is
add to it. Oh, yeah.
right, and like,
Yeah.
and so one thing I definitely would say is, and there is data in there that argues that a heavy conflict adversarial marriage takes years from your life. Those ones don't survive. Let me say these three and then I'll get your thoughts on it. So one is kind of the emotional stress thing. Two is behavioral, meaning the wife brings the husband to the doctor. And I've seen this so many times, literally, where guy comes in with a heart attack and he's like, I have chest pain. And she's like, he wouldn't come in. And I'm like, you just saved his life. Like, that has happened more than once. So having a partner that cares enough to get these guys into the hospital, that's a real thing, behavioral. Not only like maybe they eat better, they cook better, they do some exercising, like someone to encourage that, otherwise may not have. And then the third one was psychological, and I forget what that meant. Let me look at my article that's got it all. Oh, like social connectedness, loneliness, that kind of thing being an antidote for that. So there you go. Those three possibilities. What do you
Social
think?
connectedness being an antidote to the loneliness.
Yeah.
Because if you're married, then you're most likely to like go to a bridge, play bridge together.
You're connected with your partner.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it makes, and this is, so in your article that you wrote, what are you talking about? Or are you referring to the Harvard article?
Well, they're both things you can read.
Right? And what's the one that you wrote, really?
Well, this is mine that I put right here where I kind of expand. And I read a bunch of different things and included other stuff in there, but it began with this Harvard article.
Right. And in your article, though, the premise is, what you're saying is that, in fact, men who are married live longer. I mean, you're posing that question.
I'm posing the question to people, and I'm giving some arguments for a good, healthy marriage may help us live longer.
Yeah, I mean, it resonates when I was struck when you said before about a reason for meaning, a reason for living. Like Viktor Frankl, remember, did you read Man's Search for Meaning?
Great book.
So good, so good. And he talks about how it was his beloved that kept him alive, during, I mean, in that case, a very super intense case in Auschwitz, but it was because of his
Viktor
beloved.
Frankl being a Holocaust survivor and talks about how his mentality and what got him through. He called it logotherapy.
Yeah, logotherapy.
Meaning.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What's the meaning?
The Greek word for meaning.
It's a great book.
Right. So, I mean, I think I think there is something to be said that if we wake up in the morning and have a sense of, meaning, then it's a game changer. And so often one's beloved can bring that, especially if there's some sort of illness, if prostate cancer enters the scene or any sort of disease.
Can be a good thing.
Yeah, to keep
now let me say this, because there can be, it's Valentine's Day, there can be a lot of single bashing.
Yeah.
I'm single, I'm not married, I'm okay. I think that you do not have to get married. That's not the message of this. I think the message of this is a couple things. There are benefits to marriage, there still can be a lot of good that comes from that. I do think, especially for men, that prioritizing relationships, social connectedness, that's very important. You can get that without being married. So I think that is something that I would want to impress, be like, we've got to everybody needs to prioritize this in our lives, relationships and people and community and all of this kind of stuff. You don't have to get married, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want that to be the message of, like, oh, it's Valentine's, let's club the single people over the head a little bit, like, yo, it's Valentine's Day. Not only are you single and maybe a little lonely today, but you're going to die younger too, because you're not married.
But right, so you're saying with the relation, to have a relational dimension and sociability. Those are the things, right, and community. It's funny because that's what I was just asking you about. You, Dr. Larry, who's your inner sanctum, who is your crew that your community, right, that you feel positively resourced by, and if you're having a rough go, your heart's heavy, who can you touch in with,
Yeah, and
unrelated to this, mind you, you're just chatting about.
yeah, we're going off a tangent, but it's a good one. It's easy when you're in school or medical school or residency. There's these natural communities that are there when you're doing the same thing, but then you get out, and I think a lot of people get out, live their lives, get married, and or in the adult life, it's harder to have.
Yeah.
I've got people from each part of my life, best friend from residency, good buddy down in LA, these kind of things that I can still reach out to, but I don't, the community it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that.
Yeah. Well, and I actually don't bring it up to be tangential. I think that you, Sharon, that people might be feeling heavy-hearted today because it is Valentine's Day, and like what corporate structures do, and capitalism and consumerism do to make those who aren't married or partnered how to feel isolated like that. So I appreciate you from a medical perspective as a doctor with like the gravitas saying that it's not that you necessarily have to be married, but are there ways that how are you being especially as men, being connected and social, and so often it's true. I mean, in heterosexual relationships that I see, it's more. And even growing up, it was always like our moms who were the ones who were connecting or making sure like play dates are happening and things, that, and so if woman's not there doing it, I just appreciate the importance there of like married or not married, how are we being connected, and how are we having organic and meaningful moments of like warm eyes to warm eyes with people, especially men who are like in their 40s and 50s and 60s. I think it's
40s.
Barely. He's not his 40s. It doesn't really count. I mean, does it count?
I'm 40.
I know, but
what do you mean?
Okay,
really,
so like barely.
I appreciate that,
like,
but
like,
I'm
you're like
in my
60
40s.
days in. You're like 60 days.
It's real.
His birthday is December 4th.
I'm owning that.
Fair. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Take up space. Good. Respect.
Oh. That's a really good point. I want to talk about a couple things. Okay, so first of all, this data of these things that show an association between married men living longer. Now remember, association doesn't mean cause. Doesn't mean they got married, therefore they lived longer. So one objection is, well, maybe the married group of people is just healthier for other reasons than the unmarried people. But the counter to that, again, which is in the article that you should read, is that when they looked at the data, they actually found out, this is interesting, I want your brain to hear this. Unhealthy men actually, so the unhealthy guys actually, they marry early, they divorce less, and if they divorce, they are more likely to remarry than healthy men. So in other words, if you're saying, well, the reason that those stats are married live longer than unmarried, it's because the healthy people get married and stay married, and the unhealthy people don't. It's like, no, actually it's the opposite. It's the opposite. The unhealthy people are more like, does that make sense?
No, say more. I want it to make more sense. So unhealthy.
So imagine, let's just imagine a couple. Let's imagine like a really healthy man, takes care of himself, not overweight, exercises, eats really well. These people are not as like let's say, I'm just going to make this ridiculous, 50% of them get married. Okay. And then imagine the overweight, fast food eating, never exercises, sitting on the couch, man.
Yeah, no sense of meaning, no sense of, okay.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, because I would say, anyway, I would say not just their unhealthy eating habits.
It probably goes together too. So that guy, 90% of them get married. I'm making this up. Yeah. But that's what the thing says is no. These guys over here, the unhealthy ones, they're more likely to get married. The healthier ones are less likely to get married. So that's not going to be the reason for that. Okay, here's the final thing that I want to get your thoughts on this too, okay? Because I thought, this is the thing I highlighted in there. I thought, well, loneliness is a real thing. Social connectedness is a real thing. I do believe that you live longer if you got that. The more of that you got taken care of. I think that's real. Yeah. Whether you find that in marriage, but then I'm like, well, but I think if you have a partner, you don't have a partner, and you have good relationships, that's good enough, right? So the Harvard article says, I'm going to quote it, people living with unmarried partners tend to fare better than those living alone. Okay, so partner better than living alone. But men living with their wives have the best health of all. And this is the Harvard thing that says, no, actually men who are married do even a little better than folks who have a live-in partner but are not married. Like, somehow the civil agreement makes the difference. The piece of paper makes the difference.
I don't know.
What's that about?
I don't
Do you believe that?
I do. I don't know if I believe it. Belief's a tricky word, right? It's a loaded word, but I can see where that's coming from, that stat, because when one's married, I don't think it's merely a civil document. I think the civil document is representative of we're like in this.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be in it through, no matter what. Like there's a
like a level of commitment.
Yeah, and of stability for, and you think about like the attachment stuff, like attachment theory. It's like if people know that we're in this, then okay,
they're in.
And men, I think it maybe, I'm doing this because it maybe like satiates or sedates or the psyche a little bit, saying like
gives you some security, some safety.
Mm-hmm. Which, and I think people who say that they're life partners, that's true, and maybe having some sort of a ceremony and some sort of a signature on a document, it's more of makes it more robust. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
But
Ooh,
before I did this research, I think I would have said that like lifelong live-in partner in terms of health benefits, I would have been like, it's the same.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But then like seeing this makes me go,
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've never been married. I'm 40 and single. Hit me up in the DMs. It's Valentine's Day. I'm free tonight. That's a joke. Well, it's true, but don't do that. But seeing that actually makes me be like, I don't think you should get married because of the health benefits. You get married because A, you believe in marriage, or B, you want to marry the person that you're marrying.
Yeah.
I think that's why you get married. You don't. But if it makes you open your eyes a little bit and consider it as a possibility, I think that was the intent of this topic.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to comment? Where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, good. At
omniasancta.org. And we're going to put a link below because that's a big word right down there.
It's Latin.
What can people find you for? Besides you.
Yeah, I call it soul coaching. I don't like the phrase so much life coaching because I'm not going to, I think it's more matters of the soul and the heart. So that people could find me for. Also, people could find me if they're curious about looking more into their back body, from whence they came and how they came. I've noticed lately as
ancestral
healing. Yeah. Well, just because how so many people these days are doing 23andMe and Ancestry.com and all this stuff, and they get back data. And what I help folks do is to relate to the data. So it's not just...
What do you do for 23andMe, for example?
Well,
people get stuff back,
yeah,
and
they
then
get
what?
The data. And so what I do is I take you through a model, a protocol to connect with your mother's people, and your mother's father's fathers. And so, to relate, because the ancestors are ancestors.
And make it meaningful instead of just a genetic.
Well, instead of just data.
Report, yeah.
We get inundated with data in this country, and now we're doing that even with our own DNA, and so people get the percentages, and then it's like,
what
and
does
then
it mean?
what? So like, not only what it means, but you and I sit here. We are, by virtue of breathing and living, we're here because of the bones of those who've gone before us. Full stop. That's not like dogmatic. It's epigenetically true. That because of your mom's, your dad's, your dad's mom's, So it's like how it's an invitation to people to kind of be aware of from whence they came, and to walk in some of the gifts and the blessings of our people. Yeah, it's good. So those things.
www.omniasancta.org. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to talk about masculinity. I don't know if you're going to be around for that one. And the Gillette commercial. Do you see that?
No.
That's next week's topic. It's incredible.
Oh,
It's really
wow.
good. A lot of reaction, a lot of a lot of feeling coming. So turn into that one.
Good.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the article at drlarry.com, and we will see you next time. Linz,
Yeah,
thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, so
Had
thanks for having me.
Great time here at the warehouse. Brr, it's cold here.
Thanks for having me.
How do I end this thing? Yo, end.